So after the quarter horse show at Paso Robles, I did a clinic at the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Kanab, Utah. And what's funny is Robyn had told me earlier in the year, oh yeah, you're going to do a clinic at this Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Kanab, Utah, which I knew nothing about. And, I thought it was like a rundown horse rescue with, 6 starving Mustangs or something or other. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't even know where Kanab, Utah was. I've driven through Salt Lake City before, and it's flat. It's got some hills near it, but it's flat. So, I didn't know much about it. And it was only about 3 days before we left that I realized we were going to one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah, well, I had planned to, I had planned this, I don't know, when COVID was still happening, and I said, all right, well, if we're going to start planning clinics, let's plan clinics that are somewhere we want to go, and maybe we can bring the horses and trail ride, and that it feels good. Like, not that all of the clinics don't feel good, but this was like a good mission, right? So yeah, I planned this a long time ago. And I thought, well, we'll take the horses and we can go to Bryce Canyon, we can go to Zion. They had told me there's a bunch, she said, there's things close by. I'm sure you can, I'm sure you'll be able to do some trail rides close by.
And you've all heard that before, like you go somewhere, someone says, oh yeah, there's some really cool stuff near us, and it's 2 hours away.
Yeah, and so we're thinking, well, that's all right. We'll still go to Bryce and we'll go to Zion and whatever. And the closer we got, then we ended up once we got there. Well, and then going there, just the drive so we stopped in Las Vegas the first night, and really cool horse hotel right off the strip. You wouldn't think it was even there. And then we drove into Utah the next day. Well, we were driving along, and after the deserts of Las Vegas, we come to this range of mountains, and we both look at each other, and it's like, how are we going to get through those mountains? We must go around. And we both think we see, we are seeing things, but we think we see the road go around. And as we keep driving, it's like, oh no, we're going right through. And that was the Virgin River Gorge. And oh my gosh, that was our introduction to, once you get through the Virgin River Gorge, you come into St. George, Utah. And oh my goodness, that was amazing. And you were driving, so I got to see everything going in.
Yeah, St. George, Utah is like the start of the really cool, pretty country. So if you've ever heard of like Moab or Zion or Bryce Canyon or any of those things, but what was funny, we're going to a place called Kanab, Utah, and we're following the GPS.
Well, yeah. And the GPS messed up. The GPS on our phone was fine, and then I got in to drive, and I put the GPS on the truck, and I didn't check it, and it took us straight to the front gates of Zion.
And we're driving along, and we get to the front gates of Zion National Park, and I'm like, hey, this is cool. We're going to go through Zion National Park. We pull up at the front gates, and the guy says, you're over 50 feet long. You can't go in here. You have to do a U-turn. And so we had to do a U-turn through the...
they had to stop traffic and move people. It was quite embarrassing, but...
It was, yeah, anyway.
I started about 10 miles out, I started getting this feeling, my internal GPS is going, this isn't right. We're not supposed to be here. And as we're driving through the little village of Zion, I'm like, this is not right. This is not where we're supposed to be. And sure enough, they turned us around, but it was fine. It was beautiful. We got to see the front gates of Zion.
Yeah, got to drive through them in a 50-foot trailer. Then we get to the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Kanab, Utah, and they're actually in Kanab Canyon. And they call Kanab, Utah, Little Hollywood because lots and lots of the old westerns were made in that area. You go in the tourist information there, and they give you a double-sided piece of paper that lists all the movies ever made there. But there were a lot of... So we stayed in our trailer at the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary, and it's in Kanab Canyon, and there's a lot of movies that were made in Kanab Canyon. Our horses actually got to stay in what they call the Disney pasture, which is this sandy pasture at the foot of this, 200-300 foot cliff. I don't know how tall it is. And it's got this old wooden barn in it that was built in 1973 by the Disney company for a movie they made starring James Garner and Jodie Foster. And so they call that the Disney pasture. But I think the original Planet of the Apes was made there. The Outlaw Josie Wales was made in Kanab Canyon. I can't think, but there were some pretty famous movies made right there in Kanab Canyon. But we didn't have to trail ride anywhere. The trail ride, like the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary, is 3,000 acres of Kanab Canyon, and then it's adjacent to 30,000 acres of Bureau of Land Management land. So we trail rode all over the place, and every corner you come around is just like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. The next corner, oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we got there. We had planned to bring Tyler. So Tyler, we were gonna trail ride and we were gonna climb, or Tyler was gonna rock climb. And the week before, Tyler had a show with his band, and it was a super spreader event, and he got COVID for the second time. So he was still in his quarantine, period. So he had to postpone his trip. So we ended up only bringing, we were going to bring Oscar, Petey, and Ray, and we only ended up needing to bring 2 horses. So we brought Oscar and Ray, which was great. That turned out good. Petey, it would have been a little much for Petey because he wasn't in as good a shape as the other 2. So we arrived on a Monday. We had the clinic was going to be on Saturday and Sunday, and then we were going to leave on the following Monday. So yeah, the first couple days we just the first night we got there, we just went on a small little ride, and then we went to the hidden lake that night. So there's this cave, and underneath it is a lake, and that's right, that is a popular tourist destination that is on Best Friends Animal Sanctuary grounds. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. All that rock around there is sandstone, and the water leaches down through it, and the walls behind where Oscar and Ray were staying was seeping water out of the sandstone. It was pretty cool. And so we trail rode there, and each day I helped the trainers from the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary with some of the horses they had there. I think they were mostly Mustangs, weren't they?
Yeah, except for the day we got lost. We didn't get to help them.
Yeah, so anyway, there's a place called Peekaboo Canyon not very far from there. So it's
not very far means it's 2 miles up the road.
Yeah, it's one of those slot canyons that you see, pictures of, and always think, oh my goodness, I'd never get to go there. But so the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary loaned us a 2-horse trailer, and we, loaded the horses up and went up to, it's 2 or 3 miles up the road. The trailhead is 2 or 3 miles up the road from Best Friends. So we just drove up there and got the horses out.
Pulled up into the parking lot, and there are, 7 or 8 trailers with big old UTVs on them. So they had told us that this particular trail, you have to have horses that are good with UTVs, because there's going to be a lot of 4x4s and a lot of UTVs going to the slot. Yeah,
and our horses were fun with that stuff. It's supposed to be about a 3.5-hour round trip. And there's 2 ways to get there. They both start out on the same road, and one of them's a shortcut, but it said deep sand. And we thought, oh, well, we'll do the shortcut. And on the way there, the deep sand is very deep. It was like being in the Sahara Desert.
Sand dunes.
And it was sand dunes. And yeah, I had to get switchback back and forth on Ray just to get up some of them. And the ride to the canyon itself, when we got there, was that's the coolest ride I've ever been on in my entire life. It actually eclipsed the trail ride we went on with the Wilson sisters in New Zealand.
Yeah, sorry girls. It was pretty good.
About 10 years ago, which up to that point in time was the craziest horse ride we've ever been on. So even before we get to the Slot Canyon, it's just amazing. The scenery is just, you'll come over a hill and there'll be these white cliffs in the distance. And it was amazing. So then we get to the Slot Canyon. We ride through the Slot Canyon, which was, what do you think of that?
Yeah, we got to ride through three little passes. That was really cool. That was nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. So then we decided to come home the long way, which is the less hard way, which is longer, but it's less hard. And so because we didn't go that way the first time, we didn't know all the landmarks to follow, and we missed a turn, ended up getting lost. And so our 3.5 hour round trip actually turned into a 6.5 hour round trip. And we got to where we had no idea where we were. You got a little bit.
Yeah, somebody actually, we got an email after this, and because we posted it on Facebook, and she's like, I would really like to hear, Robyn, how you handled that, because if it was me, I would have gotten very anxious. And so, you know, there were a couple different points where I finally thought, we should be by the turn off by now, like the turn off the shortcut turn off. We'd been riding for an hour, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right anymore. And then we got to this one junction, and it's like, I just don't think that this is right. Like, we should not be going over there. That we're too far. And so we made an adjustment, and we ended up in this other, like on a road, and we thought we knew where we were. We had service, and I could see on my phone where the parked car was. And so we started riding towards the parked car until I realized that the parked car pin was back at the sanctuary, so it wasn't at the parking lot. And so I said, oh, that's not right. So Warwick said, well, I think we should go that way, because we need to go catch the trail right over there. So we should go off-road, off the trail, and just head over the hills. And my gut's screaming, no, don't do it, don't do it. And I'm like, all right, I'll go with it, because I've been kind of guiding us till this point. I've been making the decisions. I'm like, okay, I'll let him make a decision. And we start going, and we start going, and I start getting more anxious and more anxious. And I said, I'm getting to this, now I'm starting to get freaked out. And Warwick said, well, what do you need me to do? And I said, I need us to get back to the road. And so that was great. Thank you for doing that. So we went back the way we came, got back to the road, and I was still kind of upset and a little bit nervous, and more thinking about the horses, because by this time, you know, we were, now looking back on it, we were about 5 miles out of the way, I think. And we finally made the decision to just backtrack all the way. Like, we're going to find out where we went wrong, but the worst case, we need to backtrack all the way back to the slot canyon. And so that's what we decided to do. And it was great because we crossed the creek that we had crossed to the beginning, so the horses got a good drink. And
yeah, we were lucky. On our getting lost, we crossed the creek, so they had a big drink there. And then an hour and a half later, when we came back past the creek, they had another big drink.
Yeah. And we had a few horse cookies with us, so they got some cookies. And there was grass along the way, and they got to graze. So then we backtracked far enough to where we re-looked at the map, and we're like, oh, that's the point. We were supposed to turn off. Hi, Tasman.
The border collie has brought me a ball. Let me just go take care of this.